Hey, welcome back, guys. I'm glad to see you again. So, I wanted to bring you back so that we could talk specifically about ChatGPT and or generative AI and its use within this class. Okay? It's out there. We all know that it's out there, and I would love to pretend that it's not out here, but it is. We need to be responsible in how we use it. The phrase that we're using is ethical use of generative AI. It can be highly useful, very, very highly useful, but it's about how we use it that determines whether it's good or bad. And I wouldn't even put it as good or bad, whether it's beneficial to our education or not, beneficial to our development as a person, as a scientist, as a valuable human being to our employer. Those are the things that we're concerned with. Okay. So here's ChatGPT. I actually pay for this, but this is the one that I choose to use. Okay. I use other versions of generative AI. Copilot is something that I currently have available to me in Microsoft Office. It can help me, summarize things. WebEx uses AI to summarize discussions that we've had, so it can tell me what I talked about when I talked about it. What were my major points, even though I rambled for an hour, what are the five things I actually meant? Um, you know, I mean, spell check is AI. Grammarly is AI. There's so many of these things around. I have turned on the AI beta that's in Google so that I get better search results because I don't get just a single search result anymore. I get more of an amalgamation of the information that's out on the net. And then I can go look at the individual links that are in it so that I can say, oh, wait, so here's the general idea. This is what most of it says, but here are the details. Okay. And that's really helpful to me because it helps me to pull it all together. One of the things that I have to do from time to time is to summarize a bunch of information. And so I'll pull a paper in here and say, hey, give me a summary. Give me 5 bullet points for this. And it can be done for big stuff. I mean, I've used it to help me to summarize textbooks to help me prepare for book study classes that I'm actually running and being part of outside of work, things like that. It's very useful. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm moving into a place where I'm starting to use this for my class prep to help me do this better. So there are ways to use it. They're useful and awesome. Now, I know we haven't really gotten into the class yet, so it's hard for me to demonstrate this in a way that might make sense. But I think most of us at this point are familiar with the structure of an atom, right? Some of us may not be as comfortable with that, and I get it. I absolutely understand that. But I could say, what's the structure of an atom? And it's going to spit some stuff out. Okay, awesome. That's great. But what if that wasn't what I was looking for? What if that's not enough information for me? What if I need more information for that? I'm a first year college student and I need to understand the subatomic structure of an atom to explain the relationship between electrons, protons, and neutrons. Oh, look, he drew me a picture. Now, they're not great pictures, okay? But now I've gotten information from these things about this, all right? So protons, here's what they are. Neutrons, here's what they are. Here's some of the symbols for them. Electrons, here's what they are. Here's the structure of the atom. Some pictures that go with this. All of this stuff. Well, okay, that's fabulous, but okay. Pretend I'm a 5-year-old and explain that again. Because what if I don't understand what I'm looking at? What if it's just way too far over my head? What if it's something that I really have no grasp of? When I started trying to understand string theory, this was one of the things that I did was like, dude, I don't get it. And so I come in here and I say, well, try that again. So it says, let's make it simple and fun. And so they explain it differently. Now, one of the things, and I stole this from a student, I'm so floored that I didn't think of it myself. But one of the things that we can do is think about what are the like educational models that we have out there. One of the models that most of us have seen and are familiar with is Sesame Street, right? And Sesame Street has a different character that's supposed to represent every age that show is for. You know, little kids, sort of older kids, all the way up to the Big Bird age, that kind of thing. And so I can say, well, okay, how would Elmo explain this? And that'll tell me, what would somebody Elmo's age say? And it'll say it in the way that Elmo says it. I mean, I love my favorite thing is to ask it to talk to me in the voice of Keanu Reeves. It can talk to you in pretty much anybody's voice if they're a public figure. I mean, it's not their actual sound of their voice, but like the way that they speak. So I've asked it to do things like it was Elon Musk, Trump, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, just for fun. Why not? I've had it talk to me like it was Jonas Salk. I've had it talk to me like it was Einstein. Scientific people that I'm familiar with, things like that. But they're all different perspectives, and so it helps you to get a different perspective on what you're looking at. And one of the reasons that that's really useful is because it can help you find some way to connect to this information that you didn't have before. One of the problems that we have for retaining information is that we don't connect to it. It doesn't fit with anything that's already in our heads. So if we can find a way, like Elmo did here, in talking about happy balls and quiet friends and buzzing bees, then that's something that we can talk about. And you go, oh, okay, I get it. I get that. I understand that. And now you have a picture in your head of how these things work, right? And so, you now have this image of a little toy car that has some happy, positive balls inside the car and some little quiet friends sitting in the car. And, the happy balls are bouncing around and the quiet friends are just sitting there going, cool, I'm cool. And then around that car, there's all these bees, right? And so it's one of those things that can help you to see a better picture and it can help you to understand what it is that you're talking about. Now, why am I recommending this to you? Because ChatGPT can be a great tutor. It can help you to break down these concepts that you may be having a hard time with. And one of the things that you may have noticed as I did this was the way I asked the question changed. So I started with a really simple question and I didn't like the answer that I got, so I asked it a different question. I didn't like that answer, so I asked it a different question. The better you get at asking your questions, the more it's going to be able to talk to you in a way that makes sense to you, in a way that gives you what you're looking for. And of course, if the answer that it gives you is, well, okay, that was a great thing, but I need it to be less detailed. So make it shorter, make it longer, things like that. So like if you're talking about something and you need it to be more brief, you can do that. So or if you get to something in here um they've said and you didn't understand it, like what are quiet friends? And so it talks about what are the quiet friends and what does that mean? What how does that actually look? Like if it's explaining something and it gives you a term that you didn't understand or a phrase that you didn't understand, you can ask it. And this thing never gets tired and it's never off duty. It never goes away. I have recommended this to my own child to go and explore things, and I use this all the time. I mean, I understand that there are implications for doing that, and I get it. But when I'm trying to understand something that I don't understand, this is a way for me to try and to do that. So I can go and explore things that I don't know. I can try and summarize a whole bunch of things into just like a little tiny piece so I can go, oh, that's what they're trying to get at. They gave me all of this stuff, but this is what the summary of that is. So now I have a place to start trying to put this in my head. So those are things where we can use this to help manage the information. How do I understand it? How do I manage it? How do I make it bigger or smaller? How do I more detailed, less detailed? That kind of stuff. I have put letters in here and said, here's what I wrote. Can you make this make more sense? I use, as you probably noticed, I'm very wordy. I use a lot of words. And so sometimes I'll ask it to clean it up and make it sound better. And it can do that kind of thing. Sometimes I'll come in here and I'll say, okay, I need a lecture outline for explaining nuclear structure to a first year college chemistry course at a community college. And it can do that for me. It can give me some ideas for what I need to be talking about. And then I don't get off on, like huge tangents. Those are things that can help. And of course, if I have to tell it that because there are things that we don't necessarily talk about that, like at Harvard, they might talk about. And that's okay, because they can talk about it at Harvard, and I don't want to have to deal with it. It's really okay for me not to want to do that. So there are things that we can talk about, and all of these things are not what we're going to be talking about. So I can say, no, wait. I only meant like the characteristics, the new, that kind of stuff. Like I can limit it to pieces of it, and so it can help me to focus that stuff. Now, can I say to it, I need to write an essay on Pride and Prejudice that summarizes, that explains the major conflict. Now, I'm not doing anything specific, trust me. So I'm not giving away the farm here. And it says, here's something that I would talk about. Brief overview of the book. What's the major conflict? What's my thesis statement? What's the nature of the conflict? Things that you can, and so it gives you an outline. Now, the question becomes, is that cheating? And that depends. And that's where we get into a lot of this. We don't know where the boundary is, right? What I'm going to tell you is that depends on your instructor. So your instructor should be giving you some guidelines, and you shouldn't be afraid to ask. In my opinion, in my class, because that's all that matters here, you can use ChatGPT to do just about anything you want. So if you want to talk to it about the discussions that I've given you, that's okay. If you feed it the discussion text that I've given you and it spits out a list like this, I'm going to turn right back around and say, which part of this did you write? And explain it to me without looking at what you gave me. I need to understand that you understand it. It's okay to come and talk to ChatGPT about what that is, or why you need this idea, depending on what the thing is. Like it may be asking you, how do I set this up? Give me some ideas. So if you get some ideas for how you might be able to solve this, that's great. And if it says like test pH and you don't understand what it means by test pH, you can ask it, what does it mean to test the pH? And then as long as you can explain to me, I'm going to test the pH for this to do in order to do this. That's fine. Now I'm going to ask you to cite ChatGPT that you used it. The library will tell you how to do that. And I may ask you to provide me with copies of these notes. So you better keep them. Okay. Because if you don't, and it looks to me like you've used ChatGPT, then we're going to get into a discussion about how much of this did you do yourself and how much of this didn't you do. And the first pass is going to be, you're going to come to my office, or you're going to get on the phone with me, or we're going to get on a WebEx and I'm going to record it. And I'm going to ask you to explain what you turned in. As long as you can explain it, then we're fine. But if you can't explain it, and if I can't ask you further questions about it that weren't part of that assignment and see that you can understand it, then we're going to have an issue. Okay. So I don't mind that you're coming and getting ideas. I don't mind that you're trying to understand. What I don't want you to do is to say, answer this for me. Because if you do that, that's cheating. That is academic misconduct. And it will get, the role of, okay, how much of this is actually academic misconduct? Can you explain it to me at all? And if you can't, then you're doing it again. And we're doing it differently so that you can't do this again. You will be given another opportunity to do that experiment. You'll be put on notice. If it happens again, then it gets reported to the department and the dean. This, academic misconduct is a big deal. So I am telling you that you are allowed to use it to understand, to get ideas, to find ways, but you cannot ask it, how do I do this? You cannot just provide it with the text and say, answer this. No, that is not okay. And if it looks like that's what you've done, you're going to get called out on. Okay. So things about that. Anything else? I don't think so. I think that was everything I wanted to talk about with ChatGPT. The same thing goes with any generative AI. If you're using something else, I will probably want to see the notes that you used to develop the theory that you've got. What did you reference to do this? And if you did it all out of your own head based on my lectures and the textbook that you've read and the Alex that you've done without looking at anything else, then you need to be able to cite those as your references. Okay? So hopefully that clears that. Now, I'm going to stop recording so that we can shut up about this one, and then I will get into some specifics for each of the courses about their labs. Thanks. I'll talk to you soon.